What's up, guys, and welcome to Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And Chevy will be filling in for Josh early in the week. Later in the week, Josh will be back. But yeah, until then, we got a bunch of shit to talk about. So yeah, let's get right into that. Okay, for our first bit of news today, IO Interactive, I think that's how you say it.
I think so.
Has come out and said that that Hitman, the new Hitman, will be more akin to Blood Money and less like the last game. For me, this is a big deal. This is huge because the last one, the thing that suffered from the most for me is the linearity of it.
Okay.
Hitman has always been this game where you kind of like get to wander around these maps and kind of create your own strategy to take out people. And in the new Hitman, it had some levels like that, and they were great. But the other ones, like there's like whole set linear scenes where it's trying to be like cinematic, and it was neat, but it wasn't Hitman, and it kind of took me out of the game. Blood Money was a great fucking Hitman. It literally was per map or every level, just a new scenario with a new guy to kill and side objectives to do. They randomized where they'd be and stuff like that. So to hear that the new one is like, well, the company is going, the last game wasn't as good as the older ones.
Right.
So we should go back to that. I think I personally think that's fucking awesome.
No, I always appreciate when a company looks at their properties, especially when they change them and they try something new and they realize it doesn't work, to go back and actually own up to the mistake and realize that this is more so what we had going before and what people enjoyed. And I haven't played the series too much, but I remember the super early ones even. Very foggy memory of it, but essentially like I think I was watching you play and you were out in this like the snowy area and you were like essentially hiding around this car. I think it was like a garage or a carport or something like that. And I remember watching you being able to take different approaches and stuff to that. And then I did watch you also play a little bit of the last one. And it seemed, like a very linear experience.
It was more story driven, which I can appreciate, but I don't think they nailed what they were going for.
Though I think it was relatively well received, but
it was, and I think it's just because people right now are so into like assassination games, because they're great. But I think a lot of people are also not coming from the older Hitmans, so they don't have that expectation of what they were. So they're kind of jumping into this, and for what it is, it looks good, it plays well. It for them it has some open levels and some linear levels, but it's got that cinematic AAA experience that everyone expects. So I think that's why it's well received, in my opinion. But I feel like for the purists, the people who actually played the older Hitman, it didn't quite hit it. Like, it's not a bad game. It's just not as good. It was
not
like
what
kind
people
of a
want.
letdown.
Yeah. And the last time they made, I guess more of a sandbox-ish Hitman, it's been a little while. Technologies are
This one's Blood Money.
way better now, so they should be able to do a lot with that.
Yep.
So.
And like you were saying too, I completely agree. I like when a developer can own up to its mistakes.
Yeah.
It's always like, it sucks for everybody. It sucks for us as the consumer because we're like, this isn't that great, and it sucks for them because they got to be like, well, we didn't make that great of a product. Or
Well, they don't want their name on that. At
exactly,
that point,
but
so.
it's better than them going, whoa, fuck, how can we fix this and just keep rolling with what we're gonna do and kind of be stubborn with that. What comes to mind is almost like Resident Evil. 4 came out, well received. 5 kind of tried to follow that format. It was well received too, but I feel like a lot of people didn't really
as a
like
co-op
it
game
as much. Yeah, like it was fun, but it wasn't Resident Evil. And then
single player on it
6
was kinda
again
garbage.
was just pushing that same kind of gameplay even further to the point where I didn't feel like I was playing Resident Evil anymore. But I was like, this is kind of a cool fucking action game for sure. But
yeah.
But like, Capcom, and it's, of course, the Japanese developer, and they're all stubborn. I feel like they're not going to go, you know what, we really should kind of like reevaluate this. They keep saying we're taking it back to the fucking the old school, but what they mean by that is making the camera closer to over your shoulder and adding some zombies again.
Well, speaking of the Japanese developer, that's something that Eidos has to kind of deal with when they're making Hitman. Is Square's the parent company.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, Eidos does, obviously most of the work and whatnot, but I'm sure Square is putting their input in because it's their investment at that, essentially at that point.
Well, and it's funny too. You can really tell all the properties that Square has some kind of say in. Not really necessarily their say, but I'm sure their finances are affected by them, so they have some kind of overview of it. But the biggest thing you can tell is like the CG on Eidos games just got fucking really good all of a sudden.
Instantly, yeah.
Yeah, like I watched the new Hitman trailer, and it was really fucking cool. And I was like,
I'm sure.
I was like, Eidos is never. Well, the guys who make Hitman have never been good at CGI.
Yeah.
So like I was like, yeah, that makes sense. They got connections now, so.
Oh yeah.
But
one Square can make stuff look pretty flashy. So.
yeah, I mean, if there's one thing they're still really good at, that can give them is, they can do CGI like motherfuckers. So, but yeah, I'm glad to see Hitman, at least on paper, going back to its roots. I think that's what most of us Hitman fans wanted, and I feel like new Hitman fans will appreciate it as well and go, holy shit, the last one was really good, but this one's even better because it's I'm more involved with it. So.
Well, and I actually am kind of interested in playing this one because I haven't played a single one of the other ones, and I think I'm more inclined to play it now just because the amount of stuff that it sounds like you're going to be able to do in it, and it seems like it'll be a lot of fun, especially being able to compare those stories with other people. Like, how did you handle this person? I also like the idea that they're doing with constantly having targets that you'll be able to go after. Like, they want to do I guess it's almost like a random boss, spawning type system.
You can set contracts for your friends doing stuff.
It seems neat. It's got social elements. It's got play to your play style elements. I think they could really knock it out of the park with this one. So
yeah, I mean, it's literally going to be Blood Money because Blood Money did most of that except for the contracts thing.
Yeah.
Just with better graphics and a bigger budget. So
yeah,
pretty excited about that. So Black Ops 3 is coming out later this year, and oh god, who the fuck? Treyarch has said that is talking about recently that they're going to be combating reverse boosting in Black Ops 3. So obviously, I don't think you're too familiar with it.
So you're gonna have to fill me in.
Yeah. So reverse boosting in some of the prior Call of Duties is where there's a ranking system and they match you up, kind of like Halo did, against people of your level. Some people will purposefully lose a match to lower their ranking and go back and just destroy people. And since they're destroying all these easier people, they're getting more experience quicker.
It seems like a constant problem in competitive games.
So it is.
Years.
So they're creating, in Black Ops 3, a mode called Arena, which will make it so only wins affect your ranking.
It seems awfully reminiscent of MMOs.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I'm not the most versed on it because I'm not much of a PvP fan, but like in World of Warcraft they have Arena, and though your losses might count, I'd have to look into it, but it was definitely like you get randomly put into someone who has a similar like score bracket as you, and then you go at it, and then the winner gets more points, and the other person, I don't know if they lost points or if they stayed where they were at, but
well, and yeah, that does sound similar. The thing is, though, it's I remember the first time I ever saw this kind of ranking system was in Halo 2, and I'm sure they did before that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was like, oh, it's really cool. Like, the better I get, the better I'm gonna fight people that are to my levels like that, which is really smart on paper. But of course, there's some way to exploit that, and people found it. Yeah. And if they're gonna find it, they're gonna find Call of Duty because fucking
too many people play.
There's a shitload of people that play it. Yeah, so. It never really affected me because I consider myself a pretty decent player of most FPSs, but that's got to be not fun for a lot of people who are like at their rank should be fighting people at their rank, which completely makes sense so that they can enjoy the game, and then you have assholes who are of higher skill and they get in there and fucking destroy them just to level up faster. So I think it is really cool that they are. Looking into that, and of course, since it's Call of Duty, it's got to be accessible to everybody. So It makes sense that was a priority of theirs. It's just really interesting to see that it's come this late. But at least they're doing it. I'm not surprised Treyarch's doing it because they kind of lead the multiplayer of Call of Duty now. But yeah, not that it necessarily, like I said, really affects me. I'm not like, oh shit, I needed this. This is really cool. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
It does, and I hope it works for him because, just the same kind of thing you run into with people who are running bots in games and stuff. It just messes the whole experience and
it ruins the community. And if there's an economy in a game, can ruin economies. So yeah, it's just like stuff like that just exploits people not wanting to play the game correctly. It's fun for them for a little bit, but like it does ruin the experience for
they're only doing
people.
it because they can, though. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Once it's gone, they'll try and find something else to do, but they won't do that anymore because they can't.
Hope it works for you, Treyarch.
Okay, so a bit of news that came out of Gamescom that surprised me. Mirror's Edge Catalyst is actually going to be a reboot, which is really... I heard originally that it was going to be a prequel, but yeah, they just came out and said that it is a reboot, and that the first game essentially at this point did not happen. They said also that could change. They might be able to find a way to incorporate it, but at this point, it's not part of the storyline anymore, which is really interesting. It's almost like it was an early concept, and then now this is the spiritual successor or the actual version. We've seen this happen in games before, but not kind of this close in time.
I'll say the first one isn't even that old in comparison to a lot of reboots. So,
but just to throw it out there real fast, the game looks fucking beautiful. The gameplay looks better. I think it's one thing that the first game kind of struggled with because it was one of the first games ever to tackle parkour in a 3D sense.
It definitely looked like a pet project of a game, anyways. So
it was because they were still in the midst of like making Battlefield 3 and stuff. Yeah. So, which was obviously the more important title to be working on. It launched DICE into what they are now, but yeah, it looks great. The gameplay looks fun. I like the combat. I like the whole idea of propelling yourself and throwing people and pushing people through shit. It's really cool. But more so, what do you think about them just essentially rebooting the series that was not necessarily didn't do that great, but it is well received?
Yeah, but I feel a lot of people didn't play it until it like went on like Steam sales and stuff like that because it
well, it was a 6-hour game. That was one of the biggest things people had against it.
Right, and you're not doing, I mean, really a whole lot other than just like kind of going through set pieces.
Running, yeah.
I would have to say, though, for me, I'm actually excited for this. Not because necessarily it's a prequel as much as like it looks like such an improved experience. The Frostbite engine is definitely showing off.
Yeah.
In this game, big time. I mean, if you get a chance, watch the trailer. It's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I also really like that they are kind of redoing the origin story because I really like the first game was neat, but I really hated like the cartoon cut scenes, and it came off almost kind of like cheesy.
Yeah, it looked like the fucking Esurance commercials.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see. I believe it's in engine or
the CG.
Now.
Yeah, it's in engine cutscenes. Yeah,
gunplay being thrown out the window, which was a really non-existent part.
That's something I didn't really think about too much. And watching the video where the guy was talking about it, he made sense because I was like, well, you don't get to use guns at all. They couldn't like find a way to make that more fast paced or something like that. Because in the first game, it was kind of clunky. Like you just had your gun and you were just like kind of getting your shots.
It wasn't the same game anymore.
Yeah, you went from like running to just grabbing a gun and taking out some dudes that are shooting at you and then start running again. Yeah. And he said in the video that it broke the flow of the game, and instantly I'm like, you know what, it did. It absolutely
100%.
did.
Yep.
So if they're going for that free flowing parkour, feeling, I think it is smart to kind of take away from the things that would stop you from moving and just make the combat forward flowing, and I think that's a really smart idea. And the thing you said earlier, I forgot what word you used, but you were saying this one essentially looks better. I don't know, I'll have to go back and see what you said, but the word I would use for me is looks refined, because it takes a lot of the ideas from the first game that were good and enhances them, and then adds things that I think the game didn't have but needed. So like the game is going to be open world. It's going to be an open city. You can run around. There's no load times, which those two things alone, no load times and flow, go hand in hand to me.
Well, especially for a game that's kind of advertising flow by being a parkour game. So
don't pick up guns, just keep running. Well, what's going to stop you and take you out of the game? Load times.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's it's something I didn't even think the game needed, but it makes complete sense.
Well, it seems like they'll have a pretty easy time with it too, because the very artsy, simplistic nature of
Minimalist, yeah.
Yeah, there you go, minimalist. Mm-hmm. I also like that because there's no gunplay and it's all about just parkour, momentum, and stuff like that. I almost feel like you're gonna feel more like badass at that point, because there's all these people shooting at you and you're still whooping their ass, type of thing. So
that's what I was thinking too. Like when I was watching the video, I was like, damn. Like before, I'm like, oh, Faith is a runner who is getting shot at and grabs a gun awkwardly and shoots at people because she doesn't want to die. Whereas in this, it looks like she's running, she's getting the fuck out of there, and then she leaps off a fucking desk, goes 10, 15 feet in the air, and just launches on a dude and kicks him through fucking glass. I was like, that was badass.
Oh yeah.
And she just keeps going. I'm like, so she didn't stop and kick his ass, but she fucking just launched him through a window.
Got him out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which is the principle of parkour, is to get from point A to point B without any obstacles, which is fucking dope.
I think the only thing we can really hope for that they didn't show, obviously, is that hopefully the game's lengthier.
Definitely, and I feel like they're going to do that.
I hope so.
From everything I've seen so far, because going back real quick, they kept the white minimalist aesthetic with the color coded directional, letting you know where to go,
like hot and cold.
Yeah, the first game was follow the orange, follow the reds, and stuff like that, which made sense because they wanted you to keep going without an arrow showing where to go, which I can appreciate. And it seems like they're doing the same with this. But that it's open world too, I wonder if that's going to change or if that's just going to highlight windows you're going into or whatever. But then also, I remember in the video now that there was these weird orb things that I think were where you need to go. But so they kept that look, and then the combat in the first game, you could run and kick people, but it was so kind of chintzy. It was just you kind of just jumped and went, ugh.
Well, and they didn't react the same way. They usually kind of stumbled or something.
Yeah.
And this game, you feel like you're hitting with some force.
Well, and they would cock back their gun too, and there's oh, and then they'd swing and you could do something, throw them on the ground, which is cool.
Very systematic.
It's an older game, so I'm not oh fuck that shit. But
no, the game's fun as hell.
Yeah, exactly. I would still play because it's a short, quick 6 hours. You can get a good experience out of it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited about this one, because I don't have really too many complaints about the last game. The only thing I would like to see is some actual multiplayer. I think running around with people would be dope. And I've experienced this in Dying Light, and it's really fun to run around with other people.
They haven't even talked about it, have they?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Whether it be co-op, which would be awesome, or some kind of versus capture the flag type thing on rooftops or whatever. I think that'd be kind of cool. No fucking guns, just
the easy one would be racing.
I was trying to avoid that because that I'm not too big on foot racing.
I'm not either, but that'd be so easy to implement.
It'd be very easy to implement, but yeah, no, it's a reboot, which is cool. I think it's a really good idea. I'm not too upset about them scrapping the thing before, because like you said, it wasn't even that great of a storyline and it wasn't presented well. So I feel like this is a chance for them to kind of go, hey, you guys really liked Faith, you guys really liked the game.
Make a proper franchise out of it.
Here's a good storyline and good CGI, because we got the time to fucking do it now.
Yeah, and the engine at this point, so...
Yeah, is fantastic. There's one part where it shows she's standing there and there's these weird fixtures of lights that kind of come down a circular motion,
cool
and they just turn on. And even that small detail is that's neat.
Oh, it's neat. I also like the way the glass shatters, and it's the helicopter comes through or whatever from the outside and is just shooting in, and you see the glass kind of
no, it's like they put work into the glass breaking.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
Every time glass breaks, I'm like, that looked fucking great.
Looked awesome. Yeah.
And of course it's pre-rendered, but the part where she's jumping through the glass so she can see herself, that was a nice touch. I was like, that's really cool. So in this, I just feel like they're taking the last game and just putting the fucking work into it. That I think people who enjoyed it and people who didn't are all going to kind of agree that this was a really well-made game. It's got all the work that it deserved in the first place.
Yeah, I'll definitely probably be picking this one up. So
yeah, me too. And another chunk of surprising news, Nolan North is taking over Peter Dinklage's spot in Destiny as the character Ghost. Did not see that coming. I knew that there was some criticisms towards Peter Dinklage in Destiny. I also thought, especially in the beta, some of his lines were a little flat, but I also heard that they had done that over the phone, essentially.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, and I am a fan of Peter Dinklage, for sure. Love Game of Thrones. But it did feel a little phoned in, and just kind of just flat, like I said. So it's not too surprising, but I figured they would just keep working with it because of his celebrity from Game of Thrones. But it makes sense that they're going to Nolan North.
Well, and real quick, to clarify, they are going back and redoing all of Ghost's lines with Nolan North,
which is crazy.
Not just new lines.
Yeah.
So Peter Dinklage is pretty much gone from the game at this point.
He's a ghost.
The thing that makes sense, though, to me is most people play video games who are like into video games.
Yeah.
Start knowing names. Nolan North is one of those names. You know him. He's in almost everything. So
yeah, and he's one of the top dogs aside from Troy Baker. So
absolutely. So
does a great job like every time. Like I love finding out that Nolan North's in a game, even if it's a small part. I'm like, fuck yeah. Or if like Troy Baker, I'm like, fuck yeah, because like they're so good. They're so talented.
Super impressive. Yeah. It's kind of weird to think about, though, because even, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, you wouldn't expect that kind of talent to be something you'd find in video games.
Oh, yeah, games for the longest time, and still even to this day, sometimes, I mean, we're notorious for shitty voice acting. Because second-rate actors were like, oh, that's a toy for kids, or video games are for fucking, they're a toy, so, like, yeah, I'll do it, I guess, it's $1. And they'd go in there and be like, maybe, I hope this isn't Chris's blood.
I love that line.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, you have like all these like huge major talents, and some of them could easily be fucking actors. And like in like movies, I'm not trying to say they're not actors; they absolutely are. But like Troy Baker specifically said that he chooses to do voice acting because he prefers it. He likes being able to get into character and do shit, but he's not being represented visually. There's something else being represented.
That wasn't his original thing, though, was it? It was he wanted to be an actor, I thought.
He did,
and then
he fell
into that and decided he really liked it.
I don't think he'd be I don't think he'd be against going to acting. But I was watching a thing where he was saying he likes voice acting a lot. But going back to Destiny real fast, do you think this is a good move?
I think so.
So yeah, me too.
I mean, I don't know Peter Dinklage's experience in voice acting all that well.
I don't think he has a whole lot.
Yeah, and Nolan North is renowned.
Fucking top dog, yeah.
So, obviously I'm a little out of touch with Destiny these days, because ever since the first DLC, I pretty much stopped playing.
I never played the first DLC.
So I don't know how much of an impact it's really going to have on the game itself. It'll be just nice because it won't sound so, I guess, forced. Though,
yeah, for sure.
He'll bring some life to that character, whether, or not.
I think the thing with Peter Dinklage, because I'm not going to talk shit about him because I love him on Game of Thrones, but I just feel like he was out of his element, or maybe he just wasn't his thing. Whereas
might not have just been interested. It might have been a paycheck. I mean, I hate to word it that way, but people
there's nothing wrong with that.
Do that.
Like it's wrong for us, the consumers of the game, or the fans of it. But for him, I mean, it's a job, and some jobs aren't as good as others. And especially when it's Destiny, I'm sure it's a good fucking chunk of money.
Well, your Activision's got to throw around all their Call of Duty money, so
he might not particularly be into video games. Maybe they were just like, hey, we really like you on Game of Thrones. You want to do some voice acting? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And they realized it was probably didn't really quite go where they wanted to go, and now they're going the easy route and getting a voice actor who's fucking got that prestige of his body of work.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a really good. I think it's a really good route they're going. I think it's smart of them to go back and redo all of it, because it would seem inconsistent unless they want to change the lore on why the voice would change.
Yeah,
I mean they could easily change that, new AI or something like that.
Sure, it wouldn't be too difficult.
But yeah, I feel like when you're playing that game, and you have one voice that's kind of narrating everything and kind of saying everything, they need to fucking give some oomph to it. They need to make you feel like, oh shit, you know.
If you got to listen to it, it's got to be pleasant to listen to. Weird example, but Bastion is one of those games where like the game itself is pretty average.
Yeah.
But that experience of that narrator is what pushes it, because you get this really neat experience that you didn't really get out of a lot of games. I'm not saying the game's like amazing, but it was a very cool experience.
People liked it a lot. I'm probably the minority in thinking that the game was okay, but as an indie game, it's great. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I wasn't particularly too crazy about it. But it is really interesting that company have narrative-driven games.
Like Transistor as well.
Because Transistor as well is the exact same thing. It has some guy talking about every individual thing you're doing and giving exposition on everything as you're going. It's really neat. I like that company has a theme to their games.
Yeah, well, and then, you know, going back to the Ghost thing, you know, and how important narrative is. I mean, you need that, and if you have something that while you're playing a game and you're into it, you have someone who's not really into the part or just not performing it very well, it kind of pulls you out of the experience. So,
absolutely.
And you're going to have someone who's very used to doing this stuff.
Yep. I mean, he went from acting on movies and television in the 80s, and then disappeared for a while. I think he was doing a lot of drugs, and then got into voice acting.
Sounds like the 80s.
And and a lot of cocaine and shit. I watched an interview where he was talking about it, and because he was like, you know, he's a good-looking guy. In the 80s, he was young, so like he got into that whole trope, and then fucking got into voice acting and just decided he really liked it, and kind of gave him a renaissance in his acting career, because there was really no room for him to come back as like a visual actor.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see
Worked
that.
out for him.
It worked out for him. Really good.
And we're glad you're here. So, because your work's great.
Definitely. No, him and Troy Baker really took voice acting in video games to the next level and made it this thing that can really be fucking respected and appreciated in the same vein as actors in movies. I kind of fanboy when I watch Troy Baker or Nolan North fucking do their acting and shit in certain roles. I'm just like, holy shit, the amount of emotion they can convey in just the voice. You know, the rest of just the video game is fucking astounding. I mean, I love The Last of Us. The Last of Us, one of my favorite games. It's amazing. So, yeah, it's great that they're getting him. I think he'll do a great job. I will definitely come back and check out Destiny. As much as I can't see myself doing that, I will. I want to see how it sounds. And it's a good call.
I agree.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Tasty Tuesday. Again, thank you for watching Tasty Loot Gaming. We covered a lot of stuff. Well, not really a whole lot, but I mean, we had a good conversation about 4 subjects there. So as always, my name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.